Hello,
He's Oliver,
she's Lucy,
and you're listening to Anyway Movies,
the podcast for film fanatics and movie maniacs.
the podcast of discussions, debates, and occasional distractions as we talk about all things cinema.
If you like what you hear, be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on podcasting platforms.
Big shout out to my sister Molly for creating the logo and images for our podcast. Give her a follow on Instagram at _Molly_Joanne_.
Now that's all out of the way, dim the lights, turn the projector on, and let's start the episode.
Galileo!
Galileo, Magnifico.
No, 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 no. Mamma mia,
Mamma mia, mamma mia, let me go. Beelzebub. The key is changing so much.
Every line was just a completely different key.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the new episode of Anywhere Movies, where today we will be doing our next debate episode. Oh yeah!
I am very much looking forward to this because I love both of these movies.
Oh, this is going to be so tough because same. So today, ladies and gentlemen, it's Bohemian Rhapsody versus Rocketman.
So Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocketman are two musical biopics. Well, musical biopics? Well, Rocketman is a musical biopic. But Bohemian Rhapsody is more of a dramatic biopic, I guess.
With musical elements.
Yes, perfect. And we just thought it would be fun to sort of see which one is better out of our debates that we choose.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about each movie separately, what we like, what we dislike. And then at the end, we're doing a 1-minute debate section where we each get a minute to argue our case for our chosen film. And then at the end, we decide which is better purely based off that 1 minute. And of course, spoilers.
Yes, spoilers for both of these movies. Please watch them, they're great.
They're really good.
So, Oliver, which movie are you playing for today? Which movie do you prefer out of these two?
It's a complicated question. But I am on the side of Bohemian Rhapsody.
Well, that's perfect because I prefer Rocketman. So, let's go with Bo Rap first.
Okay, so Bo Rap is a 2018 movie that focuses on the life of one Freddie Mercury, played by Rami Malek, who you may know as Mr. Robot or the Egyptian prince from Night in the Museum.
Yes.
Which is obviously his best role ever.
My 7-year-old self was obsessed with Rami Malek.
Yeah. Okay, so when I first watched this movie, I'd watched it a while after it had come out, and I'd heard such great things about it that I'd had very high expectations. And so I wanted to wait for the hype to die down a bit so I don't build myself up too much and then be disappointed. Also, I really wanted to like it because it's Queen and it's Freddie Mercury, and I bloody love Queen. And one thing I think is very cool is, like, we didn't grow up with Queen in the sense that we went around when they were putting out music, but they're just so huge and have gained such a massive following and are so beloved that it's sort of passed down through the generations, even though it was like 50 years ago, so it wasn't that long ago when they first started.
It's hard to believe it's been that long.
Oh, I know. Growing up listening to their music without really knowing much about them, it's an experience And then when you get older and you start to sort of unpack everything, which I think this film did very well, it honestly it astounds me how resilient Freddie Mercury was as a person. I think this movie did a really good job of telling his story in a way that was comical and fun, but very emotional.
Yeah, it had a nice balance, I think.
Yeah. When I first started watching it, I felt like at first the pace was quite quick because like they were jumping like every 5, 6 minutes, they were jumping like a year ahead. And I was
Mm.
like, oh, this is happening now. Oh, this is happening now. And it didn't spoil my enjoyment of it. But the first half of the movie was just at a pace where I was like, I just wish certain things were highlighted more. And I wish we got a bit more time with this character or a little bit more time in this moment. Other times it worked really well, like the recording of Bohemian Rhapsody and the way it went from the label not wanting to put that out as the single to Queen leaving to them putting it out themselves and it having such bad negative reviews to end up being one of, if not their biggest song ever.
Yeah.
And then it was the second half of the movie where I started to really connect with the characters. Um, it was more so at the end of Freddie's first house party when he was talking to Jim Hutton. Like it was the first time he felt like because obviously he was very much a very theatrical person and he was always very high energy and, ooh, look at me kind of vibe. And this was the first time throughout the whole movie for me that it felt like he was a human. And so it was the first time I could properly connect to Freddie as a person rather than
Yeah.
just enjoy him as a character. And then from that point on, that was very much the turning point. And then his whole journey of struggling with where he belongs, not feeling super passionate about music anymore because it's all about the work, the alcohol and the drugs and the parties, the manipulation and the lies. It's very hard hitting and it's done very well. And that's a credit to obviously the writing, but also the acting.
Yeah, like Rami Malek really outdid himself because it was supposed to be Sacha Baron Cohen, but then that fell through. And I was very much looking forward to seeing Sacha Baron Cohen play Freddie Mercury because that on paper looks amazing. Like
Yeah,
that is perfect casting. And then when they chose Rami Malek, I'm not gonna lie, I had doubts because Rami Malek is a very attractive man, but he does not look like Freddie. I just remember thinking, how is this man going to play Freddie? I don't see how this is going to work. And I think he proved every single person who doubted him so wrong. I mean, he won the Oscar for goodness sake. So that's when you know you've done a good job at something. Yeah, he was amazing in this film.
yeah. I think my favorite part of the film was after he had been diagnosed with AIDS and he got back with the band and they were having that rehearsal like a week before Live Aid and he tells the band that he's got AIDS. Like it wasn't overly dramatic, it wasn't serious to the point where it's like, you need to take this seriously. Look at how serious we are portraying this. It felt
Mm.
just real.
I was meaning to ask, what did you think about the historical inaccuracies? Because that whole thing with the AIDS thing didn't actually happen because at that point the band didn't know that Freddie had AIDS, so they added that in for the film. And then there's several bits as well. I can't be exact, but there's certain bits where they sing a certain song that hadn't actually been released at that point yet,
Yeah.
but they just added it in there just cause. I was just wondering if that ruined anything for you, or if you didn't really mind.
It's one of those things where, because it was a story of their progression as a band as much it was about Freddie, there were points where I was kind of like, I wish they did sort of keep the timeline closer to real life. The end result was so good that in the end, I didn't actually mind as much.
Yeah, I have to agree with you because a lot of the criticism that Bohemian Rhapsody got was because of the historical inaccuracies, and these were all from mega fans of Queen who knew absolutely everything about them and every fact and knew what was a bit off. But I think if you're going to be making a movie and also you have the thumbs up from actual members of Queen,
Yeah.
I think if they're okay with a little bit of inaccuracy just for entertainment's sake, then I think you should just forget about it and just watch the movie for what it is.
Yeah.
And the reason why it didn't bother me mainly is because Roger Taylor and Brian May were a part of this film's making. So surely if they were not happy with a few lies here and there, surely they would have said something.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter to me. Nothing really matters.
Very nice. Very nice.
Oh God, no.
Oh. Actually, really funny side note. When I was younger, do you remember the Muppet version of Bohemian Rhapsody?
Oh Lord, yeah, yeah.
I remember because it played so often, and I was at a young age when I genuinely thought that was the real version. So so when I was singing it, I would sing the Muppet version. Go, I see a little silhouette of a crab, and it's like nothing really matters but moi. Boy, boy, was I in for a shock when I realised how wrong I was. But it's fine because the original is so much better, but the Muppet version was genuinely entertaining for a kid, so it all works out.
Oh, that is absolutely hilarious.
One thing I did want to point out on is in the scene when he talks about AIDS, about him having it, and he says something along the line of like, I want to do what I was born to do, and I don't want to be like the AIDS poster boy. And it made me think of, in this day and age, so many people can be famous, and a lot of them do it for the wrong reasons. And when people get that platform, they're expected to be a voice and talk about all the issues going on in the world, especially if it's something they can relate to, such as mental health, for example.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where if it's a personal struggle, they shouldn't have to speak about it unless they personally want to. And the idea that like not every famous person needs to be a spokesperson or a role model. It's good if they can be, and it's good if they want to be, because those conversations are important, but they shouldn't have to be, and they shouldn't have to feel like they owe it to anyone. And that's something that isn't really discussed a lot, really. So to see it in a movie with one of the biggest names behind it, that very much struck a chord with me, and I was like, I like this. This is it. This is the good shit. And then, of course, just the whole last 15 minutes of Live Aid. That the atmosphere of that whole last scene was incredible.
Did you know that they shot Live Aid on the first day of shooting? Because they never mention it in interviews.
Really?
They never, ever mention it, Oliver. Honestly, in every single interview that you ever see, they do not mention that they shot Live Aid on the first day. That was sarcastic, by the way, because they actually say that a lot in interviews. There's actually a compilation video on YouTube somewhere of Rami Malek saying, we shot Live Aid on the first day of shooting for about 5 minutes. It's hilarious.
I watched a couple of interviews, and obviously, because it's me, I watched the one interview where they don't mention that.
They were probably sick of saying it at that point. They just assumed everybody knew.
And there was me like, I'm a big Queen fan. I love this, and I didn't know that. Shame on me. Uh, so yeah. Oh, and one other thing that I did really want to point out was the relationship shown between Freddie and Mary.
Amazing.
It was like I felt in the scene when, like, because you could tell they genuinely loved and care for each other, and how much they mean to each other, and how happy they were at the start of their relationship, and then obviously the coming out scene, and it's just heartbreaking for both of them because, like Mary said, it's not your fault, but that doesn't necessarily mean it doesn't hurt.
Mm.
And then, like, they took some time away from each other, and she found herself a new relationship. She got pregnant. She was happy. He went through so much hardship, and she was still there for him. And then they got to a point when they were just genuine best friends. And it meant a lot to see a relationship like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it also helped that Rami Malek and Lucy Boynton are a couple in real life as well. So I think they had the natural chemistry already down.
Yeah. Also, when watching the movie, this is like a weird sidetrack, but because of all the wigs, and I was like, you can tell that's a wig. And then they showed you like the photos and the videos during the credits, and they look exactly the same.
Love it.
So yeah, Bohemian Rhapsody, I love it. I actually, do you know what? Want to know something funny that I found out?
What?
So Bohemian Rhapsody was released in the UK on the 24th of October 2018, and then Rocketman was released in the UK on the 24th of May 2019.
Yikes, I did not see. Oh my god. That's hilarious.
So like 7 months exactly. Which,
7 months
which just
exactly.
makes us putting them together in this video even more perfect.
It really does. I mean, the reason why I was worried about Rocketman not doing as well is because everybody was so bow wrapped out that they didn't maybe want to see another musical biopic, but it happened. And I do have to add that I was working at the cinema by the time Bohemian Rhapsody came out, and I tell you, some of the screens, there were people singing along. It was just mad, the whole experience. It was almost like people going to a concert at some point. And I first watched Bohemian Rhapsody with my family, and it was a full audience, and it was like really nice because everybody reacted at exactly the right times and stuff. It was one of those perfect cinema moments.
Yeah.
So that was really nice as well. Can we also just talk about how they used a time machine to get Brian May to play Brian
Oh,
May?
I know. I knew the technology had been invented. They were clearly just waiting for this moment.
William Lee doesn't get enough recognition because he literally is Brian May. When he turned up on screen, I was like, surely that's Brian. Because you see all of the comparison photos and it's identical. It's so strange.
They've cast this so well. Like, I was thoroughly impressed. Shall we move on to Rocketman?
So, Rocketman was released in May 2019, like you said, and I prefer it over Bohemian Rhapsody. This is how you do Elton John justice.
Oh, yeah.
I have quite a funny story about this. So, I had been really looking forward to this film ever since the first trailer came out. And honestly, I'm one of these annoying people who only got into Elton John after the film came out. Because obviously I liked Elton John beforehand. I thought his songs were okay. But after watching Rocketman, I realised how freaking amazing his songs are. But when I watched the film, I had no idea that it was going to be a sort of musical. And my dad hates musicals. Let me just preface this story with that. My dad doesn't really like musicals at all. So when they start suddenly singing Bitch Is Back, I thought, oh no, my family is going to hate this film. And I was the person that hyped it up. I was like, come on, I really want you guys to come and see it. It looks really, really fun. So now it looks like that forced them against their will to watch a musical, which was not my intention. But then, as you start getting used to the sudden outbursts of song, it really works. Especially, well, for me anyway.
No, I agree wholeheartedly.
The music numbers are just done really well. And Taron Egerton sung live, which I thought was really, really good. Obviously, we always knew he had a good voice anyway, but the way that he sings as Elton is really nice. I still think he doesn't really look a lot like him. This is quite a hot take, but I really still don't see any similarity in there at all. But that's not really down to him. I thought he acted the part amazingly. But there was another thing that I really didn't like. And then I'm going to move on to the positives because there is a lot of positive things about this film. Addressing the elephant in the room, I really hate the ending. I can't stand it. I love the I'm Still Standing. I think that whole thing is done really well. It's the therapy scene before that
Oh,
where
when he's facing his demons.
where everyone in his life just shows up and says all of these really cheesy, on the nose quotes. And he's there going, I'm not going to let you ruin my life anymore. I really wanted to vomit. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it really took it down because obviously the whole film is a little bit corny. It's a little bit cheesy because it's a musical and Elton John is corny and cheesy, and that's just how you're going to have to play it. But I think that was overstepping the mark. And I really didn't feel anything afterwards. I just felt a bit sick, to be fair. So I didn't really like that. But I'm Still Standing saved it. Like, if the whole film had ended with that therapy scene, I would have left the theatre so annoyed.
That is just hilarious.
Oh, but apart from that, there are a lot of things that I love about Rocketman. Similar to what you were talking about with Freddie and Mary, I love the friendship between Elton and Bernie.
Yeah.
And how that sort of plays out. Like that scene where Elton just has a full on shout at him and then he walks away, stops for a second, and then he turns around and he goes, I'm really sorry. And Bernie's like, yeah, I know.
The scene where like he goes in for the kiss and he's like, I love you, Elton, but not that way. And it was just like,
Oh,
okay.
I really love that scene. That was actually one of the scenes that I wanted to talk about, actually. I really love that wasn't a massive dramatic sort of point, and the fact that they never speak about it again is so normal.
Yeah.
They could have easily really overplayed that bit, but I think what this film does so well is that it stays true to what actually happens, obviously except for the musical aspects. I'm pretty sure that during an argument they didn't go and sing Yellow Brick Road in front of a massive restaurant, but
I mean, were you there, Lucy?
I don't know, it could have happened. But no, that is another scene I wanted to talk about, the Goodbye Yellow Brick Road scene, because I really love this connection. I'm obsessed with it. So the first time you ever see Elton and Bernie is when they meet up at a cafe, and then they start singing a song that they both know, and then they start just, singing it in front of the cafe just for a laugh, to kind of break the ice, and then that kind of cements their friendship in a way. And then the last time we see them, really, is when they are singing Yellow Brick Road after a big falling out. And then they leave the restaurant and Bernie leaves on a taxi and then Elton is left on his own. And
Yeah.
I really love that connection there, that they kind of met and broke up through song.
It was very like they had like a very clear plan and like connected things very well. I was just saying it didn't feel like something was there just because.
Yeah, and I am still under the impression that Jamie Bell should have got nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but I'm not bitter. And another scene I wanted to talk about was one of my favourite cinematic moments of 2019. And this isn't a word of a lie. This was one of the best scenes that I saw in 2019. When when Elton is playing Your Song for the first time and Bernie hears him in the bathroom and comes down, and just his reaction to hearing the lyrics that he wrote become an actual song, and then the grandma like almost crying because the song is just so good, I guess, just was such a good scene. I love that scene, obsessed with it. Another character I wanted to talk about that I don't think people appreciate enough is Ray.
Mm,
Ray is the best character in this film after Bernie. Just the way that he is dancing along, Don't Go Breaking My Heart, and then suddenly stops when Bernie enters, like, oh, sorry. And then he yells at Elton and swears at him just out of the blue when he's having that little panic attack. I just love Ray. And when he left the film midway through, I didn't know how it was going to go on, Oliver. I was like, no, I needed Ray. I needed Ray in this film.
he was like the pinnacle for you.
He really was. Just this whole film just works for me overall. Just everybody is just so good. The songs are fantastic. The way that they do the songs are really good. I especially love the Saturday night section
Yeah.
when tweenage Elton turns into 23-year-old Elton, and just that whole thing is just amazing at the carnival. And yeah, there's really not like I could go on for hours, but I'm gonna stop here because I'm tired of my own voice. But Rocketman is amazing, and I definitely prefer it to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Honestly, it was really hard because pace wise, I do agree that Rocketman's better. And it definitely has a lot of emotional weight to it. But it was just there were certain points of Bohemian Rhapsody that struck a chord in a way that a movie hasn't done in a while.
Yeah, it's just so good. And to finish off my little story about my family, they actually did end up liking the film, except my brother. My brother can't stand it, but my parents and my sister really enjoyed it. So, 4 out of 5.
Where would your family stand on Rocketman versus Bohemian Rhapsody?
Oh, my parents prefer Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm pretty sure my sister would too, actually, but they still liked Rocketman, especially seeing as it was a musical as well. So that's kind of big for them. So, are we ready to go through the debate section?
Oh, you won last time, so I am determined. Okay, so this is how it's gonna work, peeps. As we said, 1 minute on the clock to state our case, why we prefer our movie, and then at the end, we will decide, based on that 1 minute debate, which movie deserves the crown, though they are both brilliant. And of course, this is nothing on the actual people. This is nothing on Elton. This is nothing on Queen or Freddie. This is just our personal feelings towards these two films. I went first last time, so do you want to go first this time?
Oh, I can do.
Okay,
Do you have a stopwatch ready?
I do. Are you ready?
Yes.
Your time starts now.
Rocketman is how to do Elton John right. I think the musical plot of it is just so good. The way that they do all of the set pieces. Taron Egerton as Elton is amazing. Jamie Bell as Bernie Taupin. In fact, the entire cast is just so good. The Goodbye Yellow Brick Road scene is really emotional and poignant, and I think it has a really good balance between the dramatic points and musical points. They could have made it overly cheesy, but it wasn't overly cheesy. But then they could have made it very over dramatic, but it wasn't over dramatic. It was the perfect balance, and far more entertaining than Bohemian Rhapsody, in my opinion. And also Taron Sung Live, which, you know, is a winner for me in any case of the word. And Ray's in it, and Ray should win this debate. Ray is the reason. The pinnacle of the film itself.
Time. Ray is the reason.
Ray is the reason.
How am I supposed to compete with Ray?
You can try.
My time starts now. Bohemian Rhapsody is how you do Queen and Freddie Mercury. I can play that game too. This story highlighted some bigger thoughts and conversations that aren't discussed enough, such as people in the limelight not having to be spokespeople or role models. It dealt incredibly well with the coming out for Freddie Mercury, and the whole relationship between Freddie and Mary is just incredible. We need more male female friendships presented because they're some of the better friendships. And these people who think men and women can't be friends know nothing. Enough said on that. Also, I just want to say the lighting in this film is phenomenal. Like the whole when he's at the clubs getting high and it's all like the red flashing lights, or when he's in the car and it's driving past and he's only being highlighted by the street lamps and it's just pure shadow showing his descent. It's just so good. Time.
I don't think it's going to come as a surprise, but I think you won that one.
You think?
I think you did. I think the thing with me and Rocketman is that I don't think about it as deeply as you think about Bohemian Rhapsody. And I think I just prefer Rocketman for entertainment's sake rather than a deeper hidden meaning. Whereas I think Bo Rap spoke to you more, I think.
Yeah.
And I was definitely on board with all of the points that you said. So I'll be more than happy giving this one to you.
So am I the champion, would you say?
You are the champion. You are the champion of today. You are the champion, my friend.
Do Lucy lost, but it's not the end. Dun dun dun. Oh, I just really wanted to win just so we could do that. That's all that mattered to me.
Yeah, you hate Bohemian Rhapsody, really.
I'm totally on Rocketman's side. Bohemian Rhapsody was the worst thing I have ever seen. Thank God it's finally over. No. Oh, doing these 1 minute debates really gets my adrenaline pumping.
Yeah, I can tell. Are you okay? Do you need a glass of water?
Breathe out.
But I think overall what we can say is that both of these movies are just so good to watch for anybody, really. I would recommend these films to anybody, even if they weren't remotely fans of the main artists beforehand.
Yeah.
I mean, I did say before that I am one of these really annoying people that became a massive fan of Elton after Rocketman, and it's because of Rocketman that I realised how good Elton songs are. And if a movie can do that, then that's a win. And I think Bo Rap did the same, especially with today's generation. You know, you were saying before, we didn't share the earth with Freddie Mercury. We didn't share the earth where Queen were together and still releasing music. So for Borat to have that sort of call on you, even though you didn't even know Freddie when he was on the earth, you just know the film did a good job in telling that story.
Yeah. I think you just presented a better argument than my whole 1 minute, but I still won, so it's fine.
I mean, Ray was the argument.
Ray.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's like I was building all these little arguments up just so I could state Ray.
I think Ray should be in every single film, regardless of timeline. He should just be in every film. I think he should be the next Marvel hero. I'd watch that.
That would be interesting. And to be honest, it wouldn't be the most far-fetched thing to come out of Marvel.
That is true. Right, I think this wraps up today's episode of Anyway Movies. We hope you've enjoyed listening to our little debates and little monologues about how much we love these biopics. They're both amazing films, and I'm kind of obsessed with both of them, to be fair. So it was quite a hard one for us to do anyway, because it's not like we hate the other film, it's just we prefer the other.
Yeah. Which is a bit different from when we did it with Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit.
Yes, very much so. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like our Facebook page. We do have a Facebook page, and you'll be updated on everything there is to know about Anyway Movies podcast. And we are also on every podcasting platform that you can think of, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Breaker, Radio Public, and Anchor. I swear that list gets longer every week. And then, if that isn't enough, you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, where we put all of our episodes up on there as well.
Let us know what you thought about today's episode. Let us know which movie you preferred. Are you Team Borat or are you Team Roman? I'm quite proud of that.
I know why we did this episode now. It's just so you can use all of these clever little linguistical terms.
I swear I didn't spend half an hour before we recorded planning these out. I promise.
Yeah, I completely believe you. Yeah.
Don't look at me. Don't look at
me. Sure.
And also, why not request a couple of other topics we can do for future debate episodes?
Yes, if there's any topics that you guys want us to debate about, please send them to us, because I really love these debate episodes. They really get my actual words to work for once.
Wow.
I need an excuse to have a nice long monologue over something that I love.
It's the actor in you.
Let us know. It's the actor in me. Yeah, let us know if you have any ideas on debates or any episode in general. I'm pretty sure we'll be very happy to hear them.
Yeah. And we've got some really fun episodes coming up very soon. So please stay tuned for that.
But until then, see you next week.
Bye.